Okay, sorry about that, folks. I shoot live, but not like I can tell, door to door salesman that I'm shooting live. And I never, am too overly critical of someone having to walk up to a door and knocking, nervously not knowing if somebody's going to be, unpleasant to deal with. So, but it's like, hey, man, I'm a renter. You want to sell me something? I can't buy. So, at least nothing involving the house. Oh well, good luck to him. Let's see, so where were we? She would tilt her head and quietly listen. She would frequently trace her long black hair across her shoulders and offer me a gentle smile. Because of her, I was able to overcome my shyness and open my heart. I was no longer afraid of strangers. Also, I was able to have friends who understood me. Eventually, my boring school life began to be painted in bright, beautiful colors because of her. I basked in such happy days, and always looked forward to the next day. Those unhappy memories were forgotten, as if life had always been happy. She would ask me to walk with her on the city streets. Every street we passed by, she would start telling me everything she knew about it. She said she liked this city. She liked everything about it. Spring flowers, summer rain, autumn leaves, and the winter snow. Even the flowers in the flower bed. The jokes told after school. The scent of ink on paper from the bookstore by the road. The calming sound of cars driving by at midnight. As I kept looking up to her, I gradually fell in love with this city too. I would imitate her and walk along those streets together, imagining myself quickly growing up. I imagined that one day we'd walk alongside as equals. When I grow up, I'll protect you and be your hero forever. On that day, I made a promise. After that, she gave me a smile that I'd never forget. It was a complicated smile. I look forward to that, she replied, then gazed far away. That day, when I was still a little kid, I noticed the distance between us for the first time. I tried to think of something to say to prove that I was serious, but I couldn't say anything. Perhaps I'd finally realized I'd never become the superhero among superheroes. That day, her shadow seemed so far and unreachable. Days passed. I finally graduated from elementary school. The days that I thought would stay the same suddenly changed as she quietly disappeared from my life. Goodbye, Sheng. I didn't feel like that farewell actually happened. She just vanished from my whole life without me ever knowing. Completely, without a trace. If I could, I'd have done anything to make her stay. In a world painted red by the sunset, on a street with only me and her, I wanted to shout, "Don't go!" However, that was just a delusion. I didn't do anything heroic. All I could do was follow my parents. We moved again. The green-tinted train slowly drifted forward. It rolled on the tracks, making a crackling sound. The train kept shaking gently. I stared at the glass of water. Its surface was shaking slightly. I began to recall the days before I met her. In the faraway horizon, the sun painted the sky in a nostalgic red. Hey, Sheng, do you like the sunset? I love it. Looking at the world painted crimson by the setting sun, it feels like this city, this world had never changed. If I can return to the past, how great would that be? If I can really return, how great would that be? At that time, I sat in the train and stared towards the unknown scenery, lighted like a blaze by the sunset. I thought I could completely forget about her. Arriving in a new city, I tried to adapt to my new life. My parents continued to work hard. I wasn't a little kid that needed to be reminded, don't open the door to strangers. Slowly, I wasn't alone anymore. I had friends who would walk with me back home under the setting sun. Also, I began trying different activities. But why? Even though my life was active, I didn't feel satisfied at all. A part of me was missing. I felt empty inside. Amidst the crowd, the loneliness in my heart, and the waves of frustration kept hitting me. I don't like this city. I don't know when it began, but I started to reject everything. It was like if I rejected everything, I'd become more heroic. I'd become more like a hero who would fight against everything. Still, I felt that emptiness within. I wasn't satisfied because of the lie I told myself. I was only trying to use newspaper to fill up a hole in the wall. It was a half-hearted way to console myself. Every time when I'd walk on the road after school, every time as I sat down, or as I sat on the bench at the park, every time as I gazed at the horizon painted red by the setting sun, that emptiness within me kept growing as I kept heaving. The reasons for filling it up kept falling and wilting away like autumn leaves. That is why I returned. I did everything I could to convince my parents. Told every lie I could throw at them. I lied to everyone, including myself. And I was finally able to return. Return to this city. Now I'm wearing my white school uniform, walking along the crowded road, heading towards the high school which I previously didn't think about. As I turn the corner, my gaze lands on the old bookstore I used to frequent. However, the grandpa who was so gentle and kind was nowhere to be seen. The faint scent of ink was nowhere to be found either. Instead, there's the plastic scent of lottery tickets and a colorful showcase of various canned and bottled drinks. The familiar scene was gone. This city, which had a scenery so familiar to me, was giving off a scent that felt so foreign. Guess I'm also emitting a scent that's foreign to the city. I stop walking and raise my head to gaze at the cloudless sky. Then, from the edge of the sky, I see a plane, so tiny from afar. It flies slowly, leaving a vapor trail along the way, splitting the sky in half. Do you like planes? I remember someone asking me that. That voice is so clear but distant. I try hard to recall the memory, although it's as faint as the slowly fading vapor trails. I've totally forgotten the time. Later.
对不起。
A force pushes me from the back. I shift my gaze and turn around. Behind me stands a girl. She's wearing a white short-sleeve uniform. On her chest is a butterfly robe with a pattern of stars. In this hot summer weather, she's wearing a jacket. She's covering her left wrist. It looks like she's hurt. Are you all right? I ask her. My presence must be so foreign to her. Suddenly, a few drops of rain trickle from the cloudless sky. The girl covers her wrist, lowers her head, and hurries away. She's just like my past. And also, she was like me and her. Like how we first met. You smiled and talked to me of nothing, and I felt that for this I had been waiting long. Tagore, stray birds. It's raining. The rain is falling in sheets, like a spoiled child who can't stop wailing. Even though we're divided by a thick piece of glass, I can hear the constant drumming of the rain, loud and clear. That's probably because I'm sitting in the back row, my body leaning against the window frames. I pretend to be reading. However, my eyes are staring aimlessly out the window towards the wet playground. The rain has a certain enticing quality. Judging that the wind won't push in the rain, I open the window. I can feel the cool air soaked by the rain. Its sounds are so crisp and clear. It's a surprising, calming effect. The fresh scent of grass and leaves is mixed with the gentle breeze entering. I feel more spirited, more motivated to study. More than 60 people are supposed to be in this classroom. Now the pelting of the raindrops overwhelms the sound of turning pages and pencil scratching. With no sound in the classroom, I feel like the only one here. The teacher on the podium and the classmate next to me are a distant presence, so far away that I feel like I'm in another world. That's why. This self-made loneliness is like a tumor. It is growing in my body. That's why. I suddenly recall my memories of that raining day. Those good memories fill up the hole in my heart for now. I need to make a good use of the morning. Of course, I won't waste it on studying. I'd rather stare at the school campus and search for some interesting stories to pass the time. Even the birds have noticed my laziness. They're hiding between the leaves, chirping at me. I look for a source of the sound, but I cannot find the birds. Instead, I see a figure walking by. There's a girl holding an umbrella. She's gracefully walking towards the main building. I recall the scenery depicted by the poet Dai Washu of a girl holding an oil paper umbrella and walking alone along in a rainy alley. I'm unable to take my eyes off her. She walks leisurely, but in an elegant pace. Her footsteps strike my heartstrings, even though she isn't the girl from my past. Suddenly, perhaps because of the wind, her umbrella gets blown away. She can't hold on to it, or maybe I wasn't planning to. The light blue umbrella is free from the girl's grip. Her umbrella begins to dance in the playground. That's when I notice the clothes she's wearing. It's a school uniform, but it's different from the other students' uniforms. It's a brown jacket uniform. This is supposed to be summer. Isn't she hot wearing her autumn uniform? I can't hold back my curiosity. I stand up from my chair. Yi Sheng, are you alright? Don't just stand up without raising your hands. No, it's nothing. Oh no. Wait, sir. I need to go to the bathroom. Then please hurry. First period is about to begin. I don't wait for the teacher's reply. His voice fades away as I rush out onto the corridor and begin to sprint. The corridor is empty. Only my footsteps can be heard. I see my schoolmates peering out the window, looking at me curiously. I don't know why I'm doing this. I just arrived, and as a newcomer, I should be more cautious of my behavior. Besides, I don't even know her name. I'm leaving the classroom just because I saw her in the rain. This is way beyond stupid. Guess I have no choice. The moment her umbrella flew away, I saw her covering her wrist. Immediately, I recognized her as the girl from before. She's the same girl I bumped into when I returned to the city. I feel a stir in my heart. I don't need a reason. I just want to see her face again. I want to know her name. I want to know what she likes. I want to know how she's feeling when she walks leisurely in the rain. However, nothing is crueler than reality. It took me a while to run down from the 4th floor. By the time I hurry out the main door and arrive at the playground, no one was there. Oh, I'm too late. I fall back onto the stairs by the door. My body, unused to such physical activity, is panting heavily, gasping for air. I can feel my throat aching. The moist air is choking my lungs. It's making me cough violently. The rain keeps falling. There's no sign of it stopping. I don't intend to leave. Even though I stopped coughing, I don't intend to return to that suffocating classroom. Her wistful face haunts my dreams, like the rain at night. I don't know why, but suddenly I recall the lines from Stray Birds. Thinking that my voice would get drowned by the rain, I began to recite the lines. A voice echoes from behind in an exaggerated tone. There's no doubt. Someone heard me recite the poem. It's a person I know very well. Liu? She's my childhood friend and current classmate, Ngu Liu. He's standing behind me with a calm look on his face, as if he's been standing there the entire time. Yeah, it's been far too long. You did too? Don't tell me you're out here looking for me. Liu only shrugs and evades my question. Oh boy, that voice is really low. Maybe it's sound? I'm not sure which one would turn up the voice acting. Really? Is that how you see me?
我没说过吗？
No.
那肯定是因为你也没问过。
Boy, that's not the way to greet an old friend.
因为我看到你这样，就完全没有了久别重逢的感觉。从我认识你开始，你就是这样充满了行动力。有的时候，我真是羡慕你这一点。
Sometimes I envy you. Liu's voice has a bit of sadness. Being too proactive might not be a good thing. See? Now you can have a go at me for skipping class.
是吗？行动总比不动好。
For me, if everyone can think twice before they act, then things won't change and there will be no regrets.
可惜，世界怎么可能一成不变呢？从那时候开始，很多事情已经变了。
Liu remains expressionless as he walks down the stairs and leave here with me. We arrive in an empty classroom. That time?
那时候，
Well, why?
少有人会搬完家后再搬回来吧？
That's true. Actually, I didn't move back because of my parents.
不是吗？
Yeah, my parents are still living in S City.
所以你是一个人回来的？回来的理由呢？不会是因为想我吧？
Don't tell me you missed me. No, give me a break.
所以呢？是为什么？
I don't know how to word it, but back there I couldn't put my heart into anything.
没有兴趣。看着活蹦乱跳的样子，也不像抑郁症啊。
Cut the crap, I don't have depression. At S City, no matter if I joined a sports club, played games, watched anime, or spending time with girls, I don't know why. No matter what I did, I couldn't put my heart into it.
啊，女生和女生相处，
Don't give me that evil laugh. I don't have a girlfriend.
是吗？我怎么不信呢？
It's true. I have a few female friends whom I get along with, but I don't have any feelings for them.
哦，那你应该是喜欢男人了。
Suddenly, Liu looks really serious. He slightly moves away. Cut it out. I just don't like dating.
伊吉亚里，你这为了女生逃课跑出来，和你说的可完全不一样。口が嫌だと言っても、体は正直なものだ。
Your mouth says one thing, but your body says another. She's different. Did you see?
看到什么？
Did you see the girl in the playground?
果然是因为他。
You're such a... You really haven't changed at all. Ever since we were little. Eh? When did Liu and I first meet? I guess it doesn't matter if it's memories from the past. Hey, Liu,
什么事情？
how did we first meet?
怎么突然问这个？
The question just popped up.
你想不起来了吗？
I don't. Liu thinks for a moment. He gives me a cryptic look and replies,
想不起来的话，就算了吧。还有，你不要转移话题。刚才说到了你喜欢的那个女生，
What girl?
不要装糊涂啊，就是你为了她逃课出来的那个女生。还有啊，我发现你没有否认喜欢，
How did you just jump to such a conclusion?
那你为什么逃课出来？
Against Liu's accusation, because even at this very moment, my mind keeps replaying the image of that girl. Whenever she's mentioned, my heart flutters. This feeling.
怎么样，被我问住了吧？再说，你喜欢她不是正常的吗？那可是易遥啊！
Liu gives me a cheeky smile. Yi Yao. My heart shivers upon hearing her name. However, I decide not to ask Liu anything further. For a guy like Liu, the more I ask, the more he'll try to act all cryptic. Liu, I'll ask again. What kind of person do you think I am?
又想岔开话题。好吧，看你这么认真，那我就再回答一次。从小到大，你都是一个行动力超强的人。小时候是个整天想当正义的英雄，在街上转来转去，准备扶老奶奶过马路的笨蛋。现在是个在操场上看到女生就逃课出来想要撩妹的笨蛋。
You gave me the same answer as before. Like you said, though, this proactive idiot, at an age when he's supposed to be full of spirit, for some reason didn't have the heart to ask anyone out when he was at S City. Liu falls silent. That's how he is, always thinking. Ultimately, he thinks about it too much. Actually, I wasn't like that way before I met you.
那是什么样的性格？明明连什么时候认识我的都记不起来。
I ignore his complaint. Let's not talk about this. Actually, I came back to search for something.
某样东西，
Didn't I tell you? When I was in S City, I couldn't put my heart into anything. My heart felt like something was missing. Until I met that girl. That's when I realized what's missing.
你明白什么了？你就明白了个锤子！
After leaving the city, I lost the ability to love somebody.
医生，你没发烧吧？还是动画片看多了？这都是什么厕纸轻小说的台词啊？
These are the kind of lines for trash novels only worth for wiping your butt.
我和你说吧，易遥就是一个普通的女生，既不会寻找宇宙人，也不会拯救什么世界， 更不会变身成为魔法少女。
She can't transform into a magical
她
girl.
现在应该回到她自己的班级了，就在咱们班隔壁，就连住的地方都距离你小时候的家不远。
Perfect. Peers, neighboring class, and lives close by. Looks like this guy really knows his stuff. It's okay if you don't believe me, but when I saw her, it felt like a chain had been lifted from my heart.
青春是暴走的鱼。
Screw you, Lou. I just felt that if I can tell her, then I can reclaim what I'd once lost in the city. That's probably why I'm back. Maybe what I'm telling Lou is all blown up in proportion, but I didn't just make this up. When I first saw Yi Yao, I felt my heartstrings being tugged, as if returning to that moment long ago when I still felt alive. Liu looks at me as if he's staring at an alien.
所以，你想要对她告白，对易遥告白？
You think I'm joking? And I'm not being controlled by any sexual urge. I'm serious. I want to confess to her. Anyway, it's not what you think.
你又知道我想的是什么了？
I just saw her in an autumn uniform, and you're acting a bit suspicious. About her, Yi Yao. Is there something you haven't told me?
穿什么外套只是个人选择吧。再说今天下雨，一点儿也不热。对了，非要说的话，易遥她有些不合群。
To me, aloof has a special meaning, but I don't mind. I used to be aloof too. The bell for first period starts ringing. I've already thought of what I needed to do next. Thank you, Liu. Let's go. I told you that I want to confess to Yi Yao. It's not a joke, and I'm not driven by any sexual desires. Of course, my hormones might have pushed me to rush out of the classroom, but I told Liu that I'll definitely find out what I've been missing. That wasn't a lie. The moment her umbrella got blown away by the wind, I had that sudden desire to protect her. Maybe this is love at first sight. To move to many different cities but not fall for anyone else. The moment I laid eyes upon her, I fell in love. That's why, after returning to the classroom, after getting reprimanded by the teacher, I began writing a letter. After school, if the rain stops, I'll be waiting for you on the rooftop. It should be easy to find her, since I know which class she's in. After confirming where she sits, while they're all having PE classes, I slip the envelope into her desk drawer. I'm not doing this without thinking. I'm just forcing myself to act. Liu said I'm a very proactive person. Actually, this is the only way for me to support myself. After leaving the city, I've been forcing myself to put my all into everything and not think too much. That's how I can ignore that empty feeling in my heart. Besides, after school, if the rain stops, I'll be waiting for you on the rooftop. It can be interpreted another way. If the rain keeps falling, let's pretend that nothing happened. In other words, as long as the rain continues, I can convince myself to give up on my confession. I am letting fate decide. Of course, this is a show of weakness. It was love at first sight when I first saw Yi Yao. However, the reason tells me to be more cautious. I might just be chasing after a shadow that will never come back. Until the bell rang, I still couldn't figure out if I want the rain to stop, or if I want it to keep falling. I keep staring out the window. When I was a child, I would fixate on the clouds and space out. Thick clouds are layering upon each other. The summer rain is pelting down like strings. It doesn't appear it'll end soon. But why? When the school bell finally rang, I stare at my reflection in the window. Now I really want the rain to stop. I hesitate and stretch my left hand out the window. The raindrops splatter onto my palm. The puddles in the playground are telling me that God wants me to succumb to reason. But I don't want to give up. In a game of rock, paper, scissors, where children decide who the superhero will be, the child who loses will always beg for another chance. That same feeling is stirring in my heart. I remain seated at my desk, leaning against the window frame, cool by the rain. I even forget that my left hand is still outside the window. Slowly, all my classmates leave the classroom. The noise dies down and only the sound of raindrops are left. Once I'm the only person left, I begin to hesitate. She probably went home, I remember to myself. Maybe I'm really trying to console myself. I withdraw my left arm. I pick up my school bag and prepare to head home.
准备出发了。
Since when? Lou is now standing beside me. He doesn't make a sound while walking, which surprises me. Still here?
想看看你啥时候走呢？我说，是因为易遥吧？
Looks like he saw through me.
怎么，被我猜中了吗？
It's nothing. I was just thinking it's been raining for a while now.
又在转移话题啊！
Even though he called me out, Lou stares out the window towards the sky.
这个城市的天气，本来不就是这么莫名其妙吗？你呀，居然连这种事情也忘了。
I'm just letting out some steam.
在犹豫吗？
No, I'm not.
易遥可能在等你啊。作为男生，怎么也不能让女生等吧？
Of course I know that.
就算知道，却还是想要逃避吗？
When did I say I was going to run away?
算了，我给你个建议，这周末不是端午节吗？你干脆直接约他逛庙会算了。你不是知道一个很棒的地方吗？
A nice place. Oh, that place. I went there when I was a kid. Come to think of it, that was such a long time ago.
对，就是那。你竟然记得，真是选择性的记忆。
Leo turns around and heads to his seat. He grabs his school bag and throws it onto his back.
多多加油吧，我只能帮你到这里了。
He gives me a mischievous smile and leaves from the back door of the classroom. Now in this classroom, I'm the only one left. I should go and take a look. As if I don't want to lose this bet, I walk against the crowd and head upstairs to the 6th floor. I arrive, and from there I walk upstairs to the roof. After climbing the stairs, I swing open the door that divides the interior from the roof. I see a painted sky in a hue of gray. The rain hasn't stopped. The cement-paved roof is dampened by the rainwater. I see a few shallow puddles nearby. As the rain pelts down, it forms ripples and radiates out from its surface. Compared to the morning, the rain has subsided. I step out and walk towards the edge of the rooftop. The rain patters onto my skin. The wetness irritates me. However, this feeling is nostalgic. There's nobody else on the rooftop. But I'm not alone in this world. As far as I can see, there are students, teachers, and parents all crowded in one place. They formed a sea of umbrellas which flow like a river, heading towards the school gates, drifting to a faraway place. Strangers have all become one. It feels so natural for them to gather at one place. The rain is light, but it hastens the pace of passers-by. Everyone wants to go home sooner, quickening their pace. Their voices are all mixed together and become a huge, indecipherable noise. Occasionally, some words enter my ears, but they're all jumbled together, having lost their original meaning. My mind calms down. The rain is getting lighter, forming a drizzle with strings visible to the eye. The voices of people and the sound of rain are mixed together and form a comforting harmony. Now I'm just standing here. I ignore how the rain is soaking my uniform. I'm like an observer looking into this world, quietly watching, having no part of it. The rain has stopped, but the sky doesn't get bright. The sun, like the crowd, had left the school, like muted fireworks. Without realizing it, they completed their task and disappeared into the quiet. After a few more hours, the rainy clouds will dissipate. The moon and summer triangle will appear in the sky. I will gradually return to reality. My mind is lost in thought. I press my hand against my hair. I squeeze out the water droplets as they slide and fall onto the ground. This slightly alleviates my disappointment. I should go home. I was probably too bold. No wonder she ignored me. I let out a heavy sigh, and then I turned my back against the playground. I walked towards the iron door, which leads me away from the rooftop. How long have I been standing here? 5 minutes? 10 minutes? Or even longer than that? It doesn't matter. In the end, it was meaningless. Everything I've done from the start was meaningless. Sending out that letter was meaningless. Our first meeting was meaningless. Everything about the past, my memories of the city, everything, they're all meaningless. Just like the rain that kept falling for half a day, even though it kept raining and dampening the earth, in the end it will still disappear. In the end, that thing I was searching for might not be the same. I keep doing meaningless things. I mock myself. I reach for the handle of the iron door. But then, before my hands can touch it, there's a clicking sound. The door now begins to turn itself. And then the door opens. Okay. Confirm. Boy, it's hard to move around in this game. You can tell it's not made for a console. Why don't we stop it there? This is audap. You've been watching Reverse Memories on Nintendo Switch. I mean, so far it's interesting. Obviously, we haven't gotten to the main crux of the plot or the conflict, but I think the translation is pretty good. It's pretty well written, considering that English wasn't the original language this was made in. I think the prose is actually pretty good. Sounds nice. Obviously, I thought this game was fully voice acted, but clearly it is not. So there's definitely some selective voice acting, which I wasn't aware of. I didn't think I'd be reading this entire time. Or reading aloud this entire time, but what can you do? But yeah, definitely check it out. It's a lower priced visual novel, and I think the art's nice and crisp. The sound's just in the background, nothing special. And again, the story seems like it's pretty interesting. Nice little romance slice of life, potentially a mystery game. And I think it's something that I'd be able to recommend without too much worry. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.